Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey.
I'm JPatt, and you're listening to the Box Officers Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Please continue to support us by leaving us a star rating and review wherever you're listening to this episode. And watching a bad movie is like witnessing a crime, but have no fear, the box officers are here.
Yes, so each episode we are going to review a movie, and at the end of the episode, we'll classify the movie according to the severity of punishment. So films can be convicted of either a felony, a misdemeanor, an infraction, or on the rare occasion found innocent. This week, we are going to be reviewing Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. So if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to have to pause this now because we're going to spoil it. But otherwise, let's get into the episode.
What you think about the movie? Just it being the last Mission Impossible movie and everything that led up to it. Because you saw previous movies, and I think I only saw like one previous movie.
Yeah, so in preparation for this, I like a month ago told myself I'm going to watch all of them. So I've seen them
Wow.
recently. I would say based on like previous movies, I was really excited for this one. A little sad because it's weird because like
Yeah,
I
I
think
was gonna
there's an
ask about that.
interview. Yeah, there's an interview from like 2 years ago. It might even be less than 2 years ago. He's like, yeah, I want to do this like into my. He's like, I'm always gonna want to
Yeah.
make these movies. I'm always gonna want to do this. But now recently, he's been saying like it's called the final reckoning. Like we're done.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like I'm confused. What's going on? So in my opinion, like my personal best guess would be that they're gonna keep making the movies. He's just not gonna be like it's not gonna be centered around him. He'll be like there almost as if he were like a cameo. I think
Hmm.
is where they're headed. So I feel like they can't ever stop the movies, but I feel like they'll build around him. This might be the last time that we have Ethan being like the star. I don't know. I
Really?
don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah, I
I'm
know
guessing.
I saw something where he said something about movies, like he'll always be making movies, like he doesn't plan on retiring anytime soon. So whether he is, Ethan or, by the time he's 80, some old man in a movie, I think he was saying like he's not gonna retire from making movies. He'll just do it
No,
until,
for sure.
yeah,
But
until
he
he
needs to
drops.
make these. I think they're going to try to push Top Gun, maybe even.
Okay.
I'm like,
Yeah.
which love, but I want him to be Ethan forever and ever and ever and ever. It's so
Yeah.
good. But I
Yeah.
feel like every Mission Impossible movie is really built, even if you look at the posters, like they're marketing it around like the stunts and the fact that
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is doing it himself
Still do.
and he enjoys it, and it makes
Yeah.
you have to like appreciate that he's like really one of our last like movie stars. We have a lot of great actors, we have a lot of great people who star in movies, but you
Yeah.
don't have movie stars anymore. Of course he would do something like this. Like of course he's
Yeah.
gonna risk his life for us to enjoy a 2.5 hour movie. But I love talented people doing good things. Just talking to people like, who I know have seen it, they were like the first hour being a bunch of flashbacks and stuff didn't sit right with them just because it's like slower paced during those
Yeah.
moments.
But
But I was like, if it's really his last time being like our star, like carrying this on his back, I
right.
understand that they have to do that, and I can appreciate the nostalgia, but I also understand what people are saying in that, like, we haven't gotten into the Mission Impossible yet. These are just
Yeah.
like flashbacks. But one thing I would say also is that Luther, so Ving Rhames being like killed off,
Hmm.
that's why I
That was
think
sad.
like heartbreaking. Like, he's
Yeah,
been
I
with
was
us the
because
whole
yeah,
time.
because I was gonna ask that because this is I only saw one other Mission Impossible movie, and for it to be 30 years long and you have all of these past movies and stuff, like I guess how sentimental were some of these characters to you
He
or some of
was
the situations they were in?
I would say outside of Tom Cruise, he was like the
Yeah,
most sentimental that we had. So I feel like we should just basically, if you want to break down the movie, you really just have to go in order of
yeah,
events
yeah,
and stunts. I guess our first action sequence, we have Ethan and Benji, and they're basically breaking Paris out of this prison in Austria. because they need her help.
I feel like some of the action scenes, like fighting wise, I feel like they were pretty. Choreography was pretty good, in my opinion.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And I really like that we got like the mask because that's also
yeah,
been like when I think of these movies, I think of people ripping off masks. There was one movie where it was almost
really.
ridiculous, but like
It's a recurring theme.
they do it every time. And every single time okay, I hate to say it. I think I've maybe caught it twice. Like I think there have been two times where I was like ahead of them revealing it to me.
Yeah,
Other than that, every time I'm genuinely caught off guard. I guess I'm just so immersed in what's happening that I'm not even thinking like this isn't who I think it is. And every time it just makes me laugh because I'm like, that's so silly. But that's why I like them. They're just
so that's where
doing
that trope
spy
comes from.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I've seen that trope in the other movies, and I feel like this might be where it originates from. If they're doing it that much,
It's really almost like comical at a point, but I think
yeah,
that's another thing we like about it. These movies are so like confident in themselves, like no matter how ridiculous it gets, because why is Ethan still alive if we're being
yeah,
honest? But it's like every single time he's gonna do some cool spy stuff and it's gonna be ridiculous and we're gonna eat it up and they know that we
right.
will and they don't take themselves too seriously and they kind of poke fun at themselves here and there and I like that. So very nice intro to the movie. But then we go to Ethan
Hmm.
and Grace, who are captured by Gabriel. And we've seen Ethan in a basement. I'm not even concerned about that. But he pretends to bite into the cyanide capsule hidden in his fake tooth or whatever. And then we get a fight scene out of that. I thought it was a really cool fight scene, but I thought it was funny because I love comedic relief when it's done right. And I feel like
Hmm.
something that was really cool is that after the scene, like the fight scene itself was really cool, but after the scene, when like Haley Atwell's character is looking at him like, you're crazy. And he's like, oh
Yeah,
no, like I had to. I would never hurt
yeah,
anyone. Like, I would never hurt you. Don't worry. And it's like, I'm glad y'all are acknowledging that this is really bonkers. Like, this man is drenched in blood,
yeah.
you know?
They got a whole knife stuck in another guy's back. I was like, dang. And I think the scene where he was like tearing them up lasted like 30 seconds
Yes, it
to a
was.
minute.
Yeah, and we're just sitting here and we're just watching her. So I thought it was funny, and there was comedic relief throughout the movie, and I thought it was really cool. But I just think,
And it wasn't overdone either.
yeah, it was so.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It was very well balanced. I thought it was appropriate, and obviously, it kind of leads into him going to Luther, who
Hmm.
is already sick, and to make it worse, now he's locked in this cage with this bomb
Yeah.
and it's just really
Yeah.
evil stuff. But that broke my heart. It really did.
Really wondering how did that bomb even get down there? Now that I think of it. Because I mean, you have Luther down there, and I know that guy, he snuck down there and killed the nurse. But I'm like, you have time to set up this whole bomb and trap Luther in there just 'cause. I'm like, that's yeah, crazy. But
For Mission Impossible movies, sometimes you just can't ask.
can't can't ask it.
You can't ask. You just have to look at the screen and be like, okay, I accept the information being given to me because,
Yeah.
yeah,
How you
it'll
feel
never
about
make sense.
our villain of the movie though, by the way?
Okay, so we've seen him before as well. Personally, is he my favorite villain that we've had? No. But I think
Yeah.
he's, yeah, I mean, you could argue in ways he's one of the more relevant ones we had. So I'll take it. He's definitely the most annoying, in my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
opinion.
He is annoying. He was
So,
always running away too.
yeah, I like Isai Morales, though. I thought he did a good job. But I feel like we've had villains that are more, I don't know, that sent chills up my spine or something,
I think his villain was more like, in my opinion, his villain felt a little bit more, I hate to use the word, like a little bit more cartoony, as in like, like evil villain type thing. Because I
Literally,
mean,
literally.
yeah, like even like okay, like on the plane, or when he was running away from them and he was laughing, like he was driving out of the cave and he was like, like I got away again. You know what I'm thinking? I'm like, okay, this guy is hard to kill. Like he's annoying
Yeah.
and he's proud about it. He's
It's
like,
almost comical, like
yeah,
how
yeah, like comical.
villainous he is.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a really good way to describe it, though, is cartoonish. The other
yeah,
ones, there were some that were not cartoonish. So I thought that he was definitely more so like if you ask ChatGPT what should a villain like do, that's probably
Hmm.
what you would get. I'll take it. I
Yeah, I'm
mean,
not mad at it. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like if you're gonna have a comical villain that, executed in the best way, I was interested. I was engaged.
Up until this point, we've had like all those flashbacks, all these montages from before. I think at this point, the movie kind of shifts and focuses on itself, which at first I was like, why is it 3 hours long? I think it was wise of them to do so because if you're going
Yeah,
to take so much time away for the sake of like a goodbye, which I think is appropriate, you have to
yeah,
give us time to watch the actual movie that we came to watch. And so I feel like
yeah.
the last 2 hours were dedicated to like, okay, let's focus on the situation at hand. So now we're moving forward and we have two things kind of happening at the same time. So you have
Hmm.
Ethan's team, they're at St. Matthew's Island, but then you have the USS Ohio. First of all, have you seen Severance? Like
I
the TV
haven't not
show?
yet. No,
You must watch it. Shout out to okay, there's a lot of people. Okay, the cast was cast, but
I like the captain a
Tramel,
lot though. Yeah, yeah, I
Tramel
did like
Toman,
Jamel. Yeah,
chef's kiss. Every single time
yeah,
he's on my screen, it doesn't matter what he's in. That man is a gift. I love him so much,
yeah.
but
He's
he's
good. I don't
so
know. Yeah,
great
I
in
liked his acting
Severance.
a lot for some reason. I feel like this is my first time seeing him, but I was like, I just like the character he played.
You
I was like,
have to
yeah, just a cool
watch
dude. That's a cool
You
dude.
have to watch Severance. He
Yeah,
steals like this last season. Honestly, he stole the show. Like he ate. So when I saw him
yeah,
in this, I said, let me grab my popcorn. We're about to have a time because he's an amazing person. But also, we had to get him onto the ship. We had Hannah Waddingham,
hmm.
and she is
She looked
again
familiar.
like all these people are top line. Like
Yeah,
Angela Bassett, we haven't talked about her. Eight.
she did really good as a president. Like this is how it would like be like in real
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
No, I
So
I fully believed that that is what those situations
yeah,
are like playing out to
yeah.
be. Nick Offerman,
Hmm.
eight. The whole everybody in that room,
Cass
eight.
was they were killing it.
Eight.
Yeah.
Another one. So yeah, once we're finally on the USS Ohio, we have a traitor, of course. And
One dude.
while Ethan's fighting them, the people on St. Matthew's Island are
They're
also
fighting the
fighting.
Russian soldiers. I think they're right.
Yeah. So what did you think about those two
Those two
scenes?
scenarios, I just feel like I said, I love the choreography in the movie. So those
Hmm.
action scenes when people are fighting, I felt like it was pretty good, especially Ethan and the guy on the submarine. Shoot, I was wondering the whole time. I'm like, okay, where are these other soldiers at? Like Ethan is fighting for his life. Y'all have like one of the most important people in the world at the moment. And I'm like, okay, y'all are taking too long to show up and help Ethan out because that soldier, he was not going down. Like I was like, okay, why hasn't Ethan not killed this guy yet? But then as for the scene on the at the little house wherever they were, yeah, things went left really really fast. I mean, like you
Really fast.
got the whole place on fire. The team almost dies. I find it funny, like the soldiers, they got out of there as soon as they saw the fire, they're like, okay, yeah, we all gotta dip.
That was the correct thing to do.
Yeah. But I did like how the guy from the CIA, yeah, I did like how he was pulled into the movie as the guy all the way back from the first movie.
That was literally the most genius thing probably
Yeah,
about this movie. Rolf Saxon rocks, but it's so funny because we have not seen or heard of this man in 30 years. But
yeah,
I would argue one of the most iconic like scenes in this entire franchise is when he drops down and
yeah,
in the white room and we all see him lowering down and
yeah,
he lost his job because of that, right?
yeah, exactly.
And we never think, like, where do these people end up afterwards? Well, now we know. And I just thought it was so well done. Like, that was really impressive, like, writing. And, like, I feel like when you make these, like, storylines, it's really, I think, hard to bring in past characters when you're doing, like, a goodbye without
Yeah,
messing it up.
yeah.
And I thought that was perfect. It was
Without it being
amazing.
corny. Yeah,
Yes,
you
it
have to
was
be crafty with that
perfect.
stuff. Yeah,
It was such a good way to connect something from 30 years ago
yeah.
to now.
From the first movie to the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
you know. But
And
yeah, that was a
it was so funny because even like a part of that original scene is Ethan like has a knife drop and it drops into the table,
mhm.
and the fact that he like uses that knife later, it's the same knife, and gives it back
Yeah,
to Ethan. It was so cool.
nostalgia. Then the next part, the submarine, which was like the craziest part of the movie to me. After discovering the location of the sunken, Russian submarine, that's when Ethan, they found they found the coordinates of the submarine that was sunk. He basically goes down there, and that whole scene where he's dropping down out of his submarine, being blasted across the water, trying to get in. I'm like, realistically, I feel like nobody in the world could survive a situation like that. They're like that crazy. But I mean, it's Ethan, so I guess he pulls it off. But to me, that scene, it was just like anxiety inducing. Now, he's our hero, so he's gonna make it through. But it's just the fact that, like, okay, think about somebody with the fear of claustrophobia. Like, think how that will make them feel when they're watching a movie. Like, I'd be surprised if they didn't walk out.
Yeah.
But I think that movie was probably like top. It was probably like in my top three, like in my top three scenes. Honestly, it was just a really elaborate, really, really good scene that was just put together to make you feel anxious, just make
I
you
was
feel
gonna
like,
say that was to me. Now I know we have the plane scene is what they're really marketing it around, but in terms of
yeah,
like even just like stage or set production, that is impressive to
very
build
elaborate. Yeah.
this chamber. Obviously there's not a submarine, but like the inside, like you guys are rotating
Yeah,
this stage so that the water falls like that. That's really impressive. I feel like
yeah.
this to me was like the best part in the movie. I literally was sat up like holding my breath because I was like, this is too much going on. And once you have like these missiles and they're like floating through the
Hmm.
water so casually, I'm like,
Hmm.
this is terrifying.
Yeah.
I would say if I had to give like a piece of like, I can't even say it's a critique because I knew what I was going to watch. So I knew something stupid, not even stupid, something
Yeah.
unrealistic was going to be a part of it. There was so much emphasis placed on this suit that he's wearing, right? They're
Yeah.
basically saying you can't survive this dive without this suit.
Yeah. Without the suit, yeah.
So for him to not only be able to open this door underwater, because you're
Yeah.
thinking about water pressure, I can't remember the depth, but first of all, he shouldn't have been able to even push open the door where the missiles go through with the water pressure being like that. He pushes it open. It's rolling, it's rolling, it's rolling. Okay, maybe he has the suit on. He can make it to the top. He takes the suit off. Now he takes the helmet off. Okay, you're losing me because you
Exactly.
guys just said
Yeah.
we can't do it without
Yeah.
this. So I'm kind of like, okay, is he superhuman? What's going on? Because
Exactly. Yeah.
even if it's really his ascension to the surface that is like, I guess we saw him convulsing for a minute, but I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
It
like
was that ended, yeah. It was
you're not
that part
making it through
there.
that.
Yeah, it was that part there where I was just kind of like, okay, am I wrong? Like, can you scientifically make it through this? But it's the fact that he takes the
No.
suit off. You're at this depth in water, freezing
Yeah.
Arctic water. I'm like, honestly, you should be dead as soon as you're outside of that submarine. You're lucky to make it through with the suit, honestly.
Yeah.
So that's where I was just kind of like, okay. He convulses, he floats up to the water, to the top, to the ice, and I'm not sure how long he's here before he's rescued. It just
And
kind
they
of
don't
switches.
show us.
They
They
don't
don't
show us
show
how
us
he's
at all.
rescued.
At
Yeah, they
all.
just switch to this, cuddle scene or whatever. And I'm just like, what happened? Like, what was, yeah, it took me out of it. That's what it was. It took me out of it because I was like so intrigued with everything going on in the submarine. And I was thinking, okay, how is he going to make it out? Like, is he going to find some secret, just some way out? I didn't think he was going to rip the suit off. That's when I was like, okay, now you like really risking it. Then he takes the mask off, and
That's when I said, okay, we're going to have to
yeah,
slow down here because
yeah,
now here's the thing. We've seen Ethan have like a really, really big underwater scene before. And Tom Cruise, actually did hold his breath for the duration of those like 6.5 minutes, which is
crazy. That's
ridiculous,
very
right?
crazy.
But my thing is, and he's like, the thing is, you're using so much more oxygen as you're like moving because he's not just
Yeah,
sitting at the bottom of a pool. Like, this man
yeah,
is moving. And so I was like, okay, we know that this character, Ethan, is capable of a lot. However, I don't know, you're pushing it. They knew we wouldn't buy it, which is why they didn't even bother showing us a resolution. They said, we're just going to cut.
Yeah.
Boom, next season. I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. And that's what I was saying earlier. I was like, they just believe in themselves. They're like, this
Yeah.
is so good. Nobody's even going to care because the submarine was
Yeah.
so cool that everyone's just
Yeah.
going to say, okay, fine, let's move on. And we did.
Yeah, that's why I
guess.
forgave it. That's why I forgave it. I'm like, okay, he's out of the submarine. He did his thing.
You know, now
Yeah.
we can kind of move forward to this scene
That's
where we
what
finally get all three of these groups in one setting.
Yeah.
And
one
of
sense.
course, there's a nuclear bomb. It's like they cannot catch a
Yes.
break.
Yeah. Dang,
It's
yeah.
really
They really couldn't.
absurd at this point.
Yeah. But I did like everything that was going on in the background as you have these teams trying to make it to their destination,
Mhm.
especially when they came to like all the foreign affairs stuff and then talking in the DEF CON room. I feel like in those scenes, it's like you could feel the stress of the moment. The characters in those scenes, you see sweat dripping down, you feel them having like to make these hard decisions. It doesn't feel cartoony. It felt like very like realistic, especially with them showing like the nukes, and you'll see like the flags on each nuke. And then I think earlier at some point in the movie, when he was talking to the entity, it showed him like the end of the world playing out. And you see all of these missiles soaring across the world and hitting the cities, and the cities being obliterated. And that imagery was like so good to me. It was really good to me. It was just like really like those scenes are really well put together. But then it was also just a little terrifying because I'm just like, that can happen.
I thought it was really cool and well done and balanced. And on the other side of that, you have like these spies doing these little missions.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was so well balanced. I thought it was funny. No,
Yeah.
it's not
What?
funny. But like I thought that
Yeah.
it was crazy that they're like, yeah, you should bomb everyone, and also
Right.
you're gonna have to bomb us too, so everyone knows
Yeah.
you're doing it in good faith. Hold up, they
Wait,
literally
like, where'd y'all pull that strategy out?
said now, because now let me into the room, because now I said, okay. I just think these conversations definitely happen though, and it's just like
Yeah.
really interesting perspective. But again,
That
that whole room, everyone
yeah.
involved in that room, everyone cast it to play those parts.
Yeah.
Amazing,
Yeah, because
amazing.
it felt real, and I feel like that could also be like a real scenario because you see the launch codes and everything. You see
Hmm.
them literally playing out like, okay, choose a city, with
Like
the
they
or
said, we
like pop.
recommend these.
Yeah, we recommend these with the population and everything. And I'm like, dang. Also, in addition, I just like the way there were shots taken in the movie where they were taken very well. Like it would be like up close towards the face when people are talking, especially in the war room. If Angela Bassett was talking, it would be up close on her face, but at a certain angle. And then somebody else talks, and then it almost, I think the feeling I got from that, like it was just more stress inducing. You're
Yeah,
seeing their face, you're seeing the stress, you're seeing like the sweat going down and like their eye movement. It felt more like interpersonal, like you were in the room with them. So
yeah.
I did like that. It kept me engaged, and it kept me like thinking like, yeah, this.
Yeah, and the cinematography throughout the whole thing really is such a big piece when you're thinking about the stunts they're shooting. Somebody's filming this. Like,
Yeah, they went
they
crazy.
deserve every award, every accolade we can give them because that's
Hmm.
really hard on them too. Somebody's having to keep up with what Tom Cruise is doing. And so I think they definitely deserve a lot of love. The nuclear bomb scene was also really cool because, first of all, they said, no, it's not just a bomb, it's nuclear. You can do what you have to do, but it's really okay. We get Gabriel first of all, so let's go back to our villain again. This is a very comedic or cartoonish villainish moment for him. He's driving away like cackling.
Yeah, I felt like he was just one of those classic spy villains.
Yeah,
Like, oh, I'll tie you up to a table and then have the little laser slowly.
yeah,
He was just that type of like comical villain, in my
yeah.
opinion.
Now he wants to
Yeah,
control the entity. Then you have the government, trying to control the entity.
control
And
it.
then
Yeah.
you have Ethan and his team who are trying to kill it. We have in this movie, again, someone who's been with us for a while. Henry Cersei. And so I thought it was really cool. They have very different methodologies. And so they've, always clashed, which again, in this scenario, again, they're both trying to get the entity because they both recognize, oh, what's about to happen is bad. We don't want the world to end. But he thinks the solution is to control it, whereas Ethan thinks the solution is to kill it. So they end up in these situations, often where they disagree on what to do. And it's really Ethan and everybody. He'll go get a thing and they'll be like, bring it in. And he's like, no, and this happens often for him. But in this scene, unfortunately, in this like crossfire, we have Simon Pegg who plays Benji, and he gets shot. Mm-hmm. I thought as soon as we lost Luther, I said, please don't take my boy Benji.
I thought he was going out too.
I literally was going to be like, okay, this is too much. Like, I don't like this at all. Like, that was the trio. It was Ethan, Luther, and Benji. Like, those are the boys. And so for us to, like, already lose one is, like, heartbreaking. And I think Ethan and Benji have a moment later in the movie where it's just very silently acknowledged between the both of them. It's like, we feel this loss, but we have to do this. If nothing else, for Luther, right? They really set that up to be a lot of anxiety, like, inducing moments. Because they're like, yeah, and by the way, you have to snatch this, like, drive out within the blink of an eye. Because if you wait too long, it's over.
Yeah. And he keeps fainting while he's trying to get directions.
Like, and also his lung collapsed. So, like, okay, like, this is bonkers.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was really cool. But yeah, Grace is my girl. I mean, she did what she had to do. But while we are trying to save Benji, and before Grace can do her part, we have to have Tom Cruise put this little thing from Luther
flash drive.
Right.
Yeah, into the machine.
Yeah, he has this little poison pill he needs to get from Gabriel. Yeah. Now, Gabriel, in his very Looney Tunes way, has two planes. There are conveniently two planes. And the second they said that earlier in the movie, I was like, well, I see what's happening here. Because he very conveniently says, and by the way, I have two planes just in case. And I just thought, this is so funny. And of course, Ethan is not only able to hang on to one plane, but he's able to jump to another plane.
Jump to another plane is crazy. And he knocks a pilot out. Pilot just flies out, and then he's able to get to the other plane. I'm like, wow, man. I know that's that stunt scene. No, it was like, I mean, they put all their marketing around it, so I'm pretty sure that was like one of the most expensive or hardest stunt scenes to put together. And it was also anxiety inducing. I mean, I'm not sure how you're flying at these speeds and hanging on. It was just so crazy how he's flying at these high speeds, having to grab onto the plane, wrap his legs around stuff. And then you have Gabriel like trying to throw him off and all of that. So that scene was also one of my favorites. And the way it ends is also crazy, Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It was also crazy. Yeah, just he flies off. And like I said, he does the whole cartoon villain laugh. I'm the only one with a parachute. And you just don't expect it to go off that way. And he's just boom. Not only that part, because I saw my girlfriend Nay, and she hates this type of stuff. But it was when Ethan grabbed his arm and then breaks it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she jumped out of her seat because she hates seeing like bones break.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, yeah. It was
It's
pretty
actually
violent.
so bad.
Yeah.
That I totally forgot about that. That was, I didn't like, because you could see it. It's like flimsy now. Like, I hate that.
Yeah.
It's actually really interesting. I can't remember which movie it was, but one of the earlier movies, Tom Cruise breaks his ankle in the movie, and he breaks it, and they keep rolling because, like, he knows, like, I just broke my ankle, so I can't reshoot this. So he was like, this is going to have to be the take. So he's like jumping from building to building, and he's like, he doesn't land on top of the second building. He like lands on the side, and because of like the momentum, his like the bottom half of his body swings, and he like kicks the side of the building, which breaks his ankle. And I've seen the video, and it's like dangling there, and he stands up, and you can tell he like does a little stutter, and then he like runs off screen, like past the camera, so they can like get the shot.
Yeah.
And
that's a real stunt, man.
I said that is dedication to your craft, but yeah, seeing him with Gabriel, that
Yeah.
arm, and then the head to the plane, it's just like yikes.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a bad way for him to go.
And so, of course, Ethan lands peacefully in a field,
Yeah.
looking over the mountains, and he finally hears the message from Luther. And I just thought, wow, this is so beautiful. I thought that was a very sweet moment.
Yeah, it was. Especially with Luther, being gone. I felt like he was an important character, but I
Very.
didn't realize how important. So I'm pretty sure people who had seen most of the movies felt more like emotionally connected to it. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
emotionally connected, especially with the scenes that were playing out. You have Angela Bassett walking out from her plane and then she sees her son and he's like, "Hi, mom." And I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was sweet, just
Yeah.
because, that's something I do with my mom.
Yeah, I thought it was really like good. Again, I could talk about that team for like days, but
Yeah.
even Janet McTeer, she goes up to Angela Bassett's character and she's like, "Did you call your son? Did you tell your son?" And she's like, "What would I tell him?" And I'm just like, wow,
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're so right. Because what are you to say to your family? Like, at this point, just let them be happy. But, after this, normally, again, at the end of these movies, the team will meet up in some random city
Hmm.
and they'll have like a little goodbye. And so I
Yeah,
thought it was
I
cool.
felt like that was a trope, like where they all
Yeah.
kind of like see each other before walking off.
Yes. And I
So I was
thought,
like, dang, that's the
okay,
last time they do it.
I know we're back to our roots. It's just sad because Luther isn't there this time, but we have Benji. And I thought that it was interesting because, we still have
Hmm.
a lot of people alive. And so it doesn't necessarily give that this has to be over forever.
Hmm.
But it's over for now, for sure.
Yeah, at
I
least that
think it's something
storyline.
they can bring back. Some people on Twitter who, I haven't seen both
Hmm.
James Bond and Mission Impossible, So I don't know, but some people are saying Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning has solidified Mission Impossible movies as the greatest and most consistent quality action franchise of all time.
Might be.
I don't know, but I'll be the judge of that. I'll watch
Yeah,
them. I'll go back
yeah,
and watch it.
yeah.
What do
I
I
see
know?
another tweet here. I trusted Ethan Hunt one last time, and as always, he delivered. Mission Impossible: The Reckoning is a masterclass at ending a film series. It has all the beats you wanted to hit, all the connections to previous films for fans, and still finds ways to make you say, "Wow." And I do agree with that because,
Yes.
like, I like Mission Impossible, but I wouldn't say I'm a fan. But it definitely like it still resonated with me. Like it was still like easy to digest and I was engaged with the movie the entire time despite not knowing too much. And I think it was a great finale. Like some series they'll just have like these mid finales, but there are finales to series that I just remember. They're just memorable and they make you feel some type of way. Now, dude, this was a finale to a story that's been going on for the past 30 years now and I still felt some type of way when the movie ended because I'm like,
Mhm.
this is the end of something that's been, I don't know, it's the end to a pop culture figure in a way. Like Mission
For sure.
Impossible has always been like a ongoing series. And I see another tweet here says, I don't think we give Tremil Tillman enough credit for how funny he is. Impeccable comedic delivery, two key moments in his appearance, had the audience in stitches, and he barely lifted a finger. And yeah, like I said, I did love his. I liked it when he was just on screen. You know,
He's
he was
amazing.
he wasn't a comedian, but it was funny in the way where he had reactions to some of the stuff, Ethan was saying he had to do and this and that. And he was like, are you out of your mind? Like,
His
like it was moments
comedic
like that.
timing
Yeah.
is really legendary stuff. He does that so well in Severance too. He's not a
Yeah.
funny character, but he is arguably the funniest because it's so well timed and I just love that kind of situational humor.
Does he have the mustache in Severance as
He
well?
has the
Yeah.
mustache.
I'm like, I
Yeah.
need I need a mustache like that
He's
now.
so great.
Yeah.
He has the greatest mustache. But it's so cool because someone actually ranked all of the movies. They got the Rotten Tomato scores for all of the
Mhm.
Mission Impossible movies. They have Fallout at the top. then they have Dead Reckoning, then they have Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, The Final Reckoning, which is what we just watched.
Just watch,
Then
yeah.
Mission Impossible 3, Mission Impossible, and last Mission Impossible 2. It's so funny because I also ranked them, and I was almost,
You're almost dead
yeah.
on. Yeah.
The only difference is I put The Final Reckoning in
Hmm.
third place.
Third
So the
place.
one we just watched,
Yeah.
I put that in third place. But other
I
than
do
that, I was
remember. Yeah.
actually in agreement with this.
Well, are you ready to give it a final verdict?
Yes.
What I'll give it is an innocent, but I will say, I'm gonna give it a little. I'm like, I got my eye on you. Like, if this was a
Okay.
civilian in the street and they look a little suspicious, or I'm just kind of like, let me see your ID, stuff like that. Just for that scene after he escapes the submarine, just for that one scene, where I'm just kind of like, that brought me out of the immersion a bit. How are you alive? Because I was thinking maybe there's gonna be like a little team of divers that rescue him or something like that, or like I just wasn't expecting him to take off the suit and then he takes off the mask. I think they were doing too much when it came to the submarine because you got the submarine rolling, bouncing, you got things dragging him, dragging his suit, and then he finally escapes. And I'm like, okay, at least he still has the mask on. And then something grabs the back of the suit and pulls it down. I'm like, okay, come on. Like, you have all of these inconveniences just popping up, getting in his way, and then he finally escapes. And I'm like, oh, okay, one more inconvenience. And then he takes the mask off and swims up all on his own. And I was just like, no, yeah, he's Ethan, but there's no way he should have survived that at all.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
I
that's
think
why I'm kind
that's
of like, kind of hitting my police baton on my hand, like, I got my eye on you just for that one scene alone.
I think that's very fair because I think I also thought the same. Again, it just really lowers the stakes. You guys said this was like
Exactly. Yeah.
and so I feel like when you lower it like that, it kind of takes away from like the breathlessness of that moment because it's like, okay, I thought y'all said he couldn't do that. That happens a few times, but they've always done that. And so it's really hard because part of me wants to be like, this isn't realistic. I don't know if it ever was supposed to be, but I feel really conflicted. I want to say it's innocent, but even then, it's like part of it, it's like, I get that it's a finale. I think with those callbacks in the first hour, at a certain point, I did think, okay, this is a lot of flashbacks, a lot of callbacks.
Hmm.
There's moments that the movie becomes like a little corny. I think that's also why people don't like Mission Impossible 2. It was very corny.
Very
But
good.
I think, overall, I have to say, dang, I wish there was something between misdemeanor and innocent,
And
or
it's
sorry, infraction
infraction
and
and innocent. Yeah.
because I loved it so much. I feel like I have to give it an infraction, but I really don't want to. And I hope everyone knows it really hurts me. It's not even because of the submarine thing, even though that didn't make
Yeah.
sense. I
That's
just
just my
feel
reason.
like it was a goodbye, but I
Yeah.
almost feel like what they should have done is save that for a post-credit scene and give us like a highlight reel of over the years. That way we have that moment. We get to watch it in the theater for one last time. But I don't know if I would say put it in the movie in that
Hmm.
way. I feel like there should have been a proper time set out to dedicate, our respects to the past 30 years. That was not taking away the first hour of the movie. That is
Yeah.
literally the only reason why. I loved seeing it. I just wish I didn't at the time that I did, or before the movie starts. Give us all of it up front, and then, like a little 2-minute highlight reel before the movie starts. Because I don't know, I think this played before every movie, or like before it showed at every theater. They had Tom Cruise come and speak and be like, thank you, whatever. They
Yeah.
should have played that clip of Tom Cruise, then
And
played the
then as
highlights,
yeah,
or
as
played the
B-roll.
highlights, and
Yeah, as
then
B-roll.
played
Yeah.
that welcome by Tom Cruise, thanks for coming, and
Yeah.
then start the movie. I don't know if I wanted it in the movie. That's my only thing.
Only thing.
Otherwise,
A little
I'll
jaywalking,
keep it. Yes.
a little littering.
Again,
Yeah.
I guess if I wanted to find something else, I would say, again, Gabriel was never my favorite villain. So I think
Hmm.
it could have been given to somebody else. But even then, like, I'll take it. I think he was more corny than other villains, and so he didn't match the seriousness of the situation that we're in. But I thought the stunts were amazing. I thought that everyone did what they were supposed to do, and I thought that Tom Cruise exceeded expectations again, and I loved it. It's an infraction, but I loved it. So, yeah, I think that's,
Pretty great movie.
I think we were fair.
Yeah, I think we were fair. We gave it a pretty good breakdown, and overall cinematography was peak. Stunts were amazing, and
For
you
sure.
get to see Tom Cruise do his Tom Cruise thing one last time as Ethan in Mission Impossible, and he's still doing like he's still a really good actor, a really good stuntman. So
I definitely think you should watch the other movies. I think if you like this one, you will really, really like some of the other ones. It'll be
yeah,
nice. You just get
I'll
a little bit of history.
hold you to it.
Yeah.
But that's been you want to close this out? That's
Yeah.
been
This,
I'll do it. That's been this episode. What you say? You'd be like, that's been this episode
I think I
of the
say something
box
different every
officers.
time.
How you doing? Okay, well I'll
Yeah.
let you do it. I'll let you
No, go
do
for it.
it.
Enjoy yourself.
That's been this episode of the box officers. If you haven't seen Mission Impossible, what are you doing watching this
Yeah.
in the first place? But
Really.
yeah, you should definitely go see it. If you haven't, I'll probably see it again.
I can't wait till we're able to meet Tom Cruise. That's why I made this podcast so that it's all leading up to one moment. Like, my goodness. But yeah.
All right, y'all. See you in the next episode.
Yes. Bye bye.